Live from the WTXL studios, this is ABC 27's News at 5.
Tense moments during yet another shooting at a U.S. school. Good evening. I'm Greg Angel.
And I'm Mika Highsmith. Thanks for joining us. We are learning tonight that 2 people have been shot. The shooting happened about 9 a.m. at a high school in Taft, California. That's about 2 hours northwest of Los Angeles. The shooter, who we are now learning was a student, was taken into custody a short time after. Sheriff Donnie Youngblood says the student walked into a class, shot a teen with a shotgun, and then fired at another student but missed. A teacher suffered a minor pellet wound to the head. A 16-year-old student is in critical but stable condition tonight. And Vice President Joe Biden continues talks today with gun owner groups to look at ways to curb gun violence. He's preparing to make recommendations on gun policy to President Obama by the end of the month. Biden held his first meeting yesterday at the White House. Among Wednesday's participants were survivors of the 2007 Virginia Tech shooting, relatives of the Aurora, Colorado movie theater, and gun control advocates. The White House has stressed that gun violence won't be solved by just one action or one piece of legislation.
Meanwhile, Tallahassee police officers now adding local elementary schools to their patrols. Officers greeting students at Rudiger Elementary School today. It's all part of a safety measure approved last night by Tallahassee City Commissioners. Now, Commissioner Scott Maddox brought up the idea to have officers at the 19 Leon County elementary schools. The Leon County Sheriff's Office already has school resource officers at the middle and high schools. Tallahassee police are now going to add check-ins at elementary schools throughout the day.
For our students, they need not just someone that is patrolling, but someone that they can actually get to know and trust, someone that they can have a relationship with, and someone that can have a relationship with the community. So it's more than just having patrols, but it's having someone that the kids know and can relate to.
City leaders say the move is not going to cost taxpayers any additional money. Scott Maddox hopes Governor Rick Scott will free up some money to pay for officers to be at elementary schools full time. State Representative Alan Williams has now filed legislation to repeal Florida's controversial Stand Your Ground self-defense law. Williams filed the bill on Tuesday. Now, under current law, there's no, quote, no duty to retreat when threatened, end quote. Williams, who's a supporter of the Second Amendment, says his bill is actually looking to take away that language. I talked to him by phone earlier this afternoon. Here's what he had to say.
If that individual is in retreat, you can't go out into the street and start firing a weapon at them. What we want them to do is we want them to, use the mechanism in place. Call law enforcement.
The law has been under the microscope since the February 2012 shooting death of Trayvon Martin in Sanford, Florida. Accused gunman George Zimmerman says he shot Martin in self-defense. He's pleaded not guilty under the Stand Your Ground law. Williams says his bill does not remove a citizen's right to protect themselves if they do feel like their life is threatened.
And now at 5, it is day 4 in the search for a missing Gadsden County man. Crews
spent the day trying to retrace the tracks of Garrett Hughes. The elderly man hasn't been seen since Saturday. ABC 27's Mark Lowerman live for us in the newsroom. And Mark, where's the focus of the search now?
Well, Greg, Gretna police officers tell me they're expanding their search. So far, nothing has turned up, which may tell officers where Hughes may be or what happened to him. Now, take a good look at this photo. This is 72-year-old Garrett Hughes. This is who police are looking for. With the help of a canine, search crews were back out today. They began on Sunday at the Dollar General store in Gretna. That's where Hughes was reportedly last seen on Saturday. Now, since that time, crews have been expanding their search, checking along roadways and wooded areas. Family members say the 72-year-old has dementia, and they're concerned that he may have wandered into the streets or gotten lost.
Your father, friend, and one of the friendly guys you want to meet. It's time and discipline, but it's a time for everything. And just say he was a father. And that's why I ain't giving up.
Now, despite time that's passed so far, Derek says the family is not losing hope, and they remain optimistic that Garrett Hughes will be found. Now, anyone who may know the whereabouts of Garrett Hughes is urged to call the Gretna Police Department at 850-509-4184. Live in the newsroom, Mark Liverman, WTXL ABC 27, dedicated to you.
The warmth continuing this afternoon despite areas of clouds. A little bit more sunshine plus a greater influence of building high pressure off to the east and southeast of the region, all combining to continue to drive up temperatures. And there's enough moisture and enough weakness in the atmosphere to actually drive a few showers across the region. Very thin, broken band of showers stretching from extreme northern Leon County north and westward through sections of Grady and Decatur County and right along Highway 27 as you head towards the Blakely area. A few downpours associated with that, nothing too major, but a lot of warmth and a lot of moisture, almost like a summertime convective pattern as far as the rain development goes. Not quite your classic pattern for rain or storms, but certainly abnormally warm, extra moisture around dew point levels in the 60s, near 70. That's like summertime. And enough cloudiness to at least cause a little bit of blockage of the sunshine today. But the warmth is still going to be persistent, and it's going to stretch for the next several days ahead. We'll give you more details on that, and we'll analyze the rain that's out there, and I'll let you know if more is expected for your Friday coming up in your Storm Team forecast.
All right, Cass, thank you. Well, flu season is kicking into high gear, and hospitals across the country are now scrambling to keep up. Health officials say it is the worst flu outbreak in a decade, with confirmed cases in 41 states. Health experts now recommending vaccinations for everyone 6 months and older. 135 million doses of flu vaccines have already been distributed. That's 95% of the annual stock. And in Somerville, Massachusetts, they've already ran out of it. And Boston has actually declared a public health emergency with approximately 700 cases reported there since October. That is 10 times more than the city saw last year.
Keep your kids home so that they're not spreading it. Make sure they're getting enough fluids because children can get dehydrated with this. And then think about Tamiflu, especially in the young children, those under 2 or any child with a medical problem.
And there is word tonight that pediatricians are running low on flu mist, the nasal vaccine given to children who cannot tolerate the shot. In other news tonight, a DeKalb County teenager is speaking out about a frightening encounter. Craig Lucy has more on the 15-year-old girl who faced a burglar all by herself.
Just standing up against the wall right here.
15-year-old Emily Street tried her best to hide from the man who just kicked in her front door, but he found her.
And it was locked too, but remember how the lock's messed up.
Since the lock was broken, she says the burglar, who had just emptied her mother's jewelry box, walked in her bathroom when he heard something.
At first when he opened the door, he just said, "Oh," and then he ran out as fast as he could because I had my phone in my hand, and then I was like, "Please put it back." I knew he wasn't going to, but and then he's like, don't say or do anything or I'm going to shoot you.
But Emily had already texted her mother, Kristen Street.
The text said, "Mom, someone is in the house. Help." And, you know, that's just the worst thing you want to hear.
Street says she was in Fulton County, so when she called 911, the dispatcher kept trying to transfer her since her home is in DeKalb County.
I just started calling 911. And tried 3 times to get through.
She says that 911 experience and the fact that her daughter was home alone with a burglar in her house has changed her views on more strict gun control laws.
I've just always been one of those people that just thinks, you know, you don't need a gun in the house. Now we're definitely rethinking that. You know, we're definitely not rethinking it. We're going to get a gun.
The Streets say if their home is burglarized again, the ending may be very different next time.
That was Craig Lucy reporting on new details tonight into several criminal voter fraud cases.
Plus, what investigators are saying. We'll tell you just ahead here on the News at 5.